Taking a look at today's equity index futures markets, let's look at the S&P 500 futures as they're recovering after a couple days of lower price action to trade higher today. And with today's levels, we are now poised to put in a new all-time closing high for that June future, currently priced at 53.69, and that's just off the intraday highs as the markets are realizing some higher price action here to start the week. And I think when you look at some of the driving factors, one of the primary drivers is the digestion of the non-farm payrolls from last Friday. Certainly had a shift in sentiment after the release of that data, as it did impact various asset classes. But the equity markets showing some sign of strength today. And really, when you look at the price movement, it really appears to be focused somewhat in the cloud-based area. Some AI, but more cloud-based, as well as energy coming back today. Some of the big energy stocks bouncing back as crude came off the recent lows to trade higher today by about 2%, and that helps support the energy sector. And I think that's one of the factors contributing to the higher price action when you look at the S&P 500. Now, looking at the general trends, S&P and the NASDAQ are poised to put in new all-time closing highs here today. Now, just barely. When you look at the S&P, it's just a couple points above where the closing levels were from last week. And about 20 points when you look at the NASDAQ currently priced, about 20 points above last week's closing all-time highs. So renewed strength here to start the week, at least in the big two averages that continue to realize significant upside momentum. The Russell and the Dow are bouncing somewhat today, not as much as the S&P and the NASDAQ, but holding on to some gains and trying to recover that 50-day moving average when you look at both of those futures markets, but well below the highs that we have experienced earlier in the year. And the dispersion continues in the futures markets, but the S&P and NASDAQ appear to be poised to put in new all-time closing highs once again today.